everyone, my name is Gary Lingefelter. I'm part of POL 493 and today I'm going to give you a class on organizational theories. Alright, so the first theory that we'll talk about is Wilson's dichotomy. It's also known as the politics administration dichotomy. It was crafted by President Woodrow Wilson, and he was the 28th President of the United States. He's the one credited with the theory after writing about it in his 1887 essay, The Study of Administration. The theory is based upon the idea that politics and administration are inherently different, and they should be approached as such. This is the dichotomy of which we speak of, politics and administration. According to Wilson, policymakers should set the task for administrators to carry out independently as they see fit. With this theory, Wilson sparked a debate which has lasted for over 100 years. The advantages of it: implementation of the theory can help to mitigate the complexities and difficulties that exist within government. It also acts as a way of combating the foolish and uneducated people who vote, by appointing only the most educated and proficient leaders as administrators to complete tasks as efficiently as possible. Disadvantages, though: in some ways having politics integrated into administration is a good thing. When administrators have a political agenda, they're motivated to perform good work for people. The good work performed in Wilson's dichotomy, however, is tied to the opinions of those who fund and appoint them. So an administrator then becomes more likely to act in the interest of policymakers rather than the people who will vote for those policymakers. Now, as an example, the city manager within the city, any city, is an administrator appointed by city council and the mayor to direct the administration of a city. If the city manager would adhere strictly to Wilson's dichotomy, he would act independently of the city council to accomplish the tasks which they set forth. But this is often not the case. The city council and the city administrator work hand in hand to accomplish these tasks. This is because he acts in the interests of those who appoint him and provide him with funding, which is one of the clear disadvantages of Wilson's dichotomy. Next, we'll talk about Taylor's scientific management. It's also known as Taylorism. The theory was based upon carefully defined laws, rules, and principles. Taylor's objective was to improve the efficiency and labor productivity. He started by evaluating the individual worker. He determined that work could be optimized if workers did not need to spend so much time to make so many movements, and this absorbs time. His approach was applied to the design of assembly lines and office workspaces. Organizations quickly learned that by providing workers with efficient workspaces, they could increase their overall productivity. Taylor's approach also applied to managers within the organization. Their role became less about leading and more about streamlining and increasing efficiency. The division of labor came from Taylor's scientific management. Workers quickly began to feel disenfranchised by the monotonous and unfulfilling work that they had to perform on the assembly lines. These workers became angry as demand for greater output and efficiency increased. Jobs began to disappear and wages also decreased. This strengthened unions, and laborers flocked to them for assistance. Today, labor unions fought for better working conditions, and today the American people get to reap the reward for that work. The success of public administration is still measured today by the efficiency of the organization to perform work. So reevaluation of this efficiency is frequently performed within all branches of administration. Alright, so this one is actually an acronym, and I'm not even going to try and say it. But Gulick, he was an advisor for the federal government. He compiled a list of general functions that managers should perform, and the list is as follows. So first we have planning, second organizing, then staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. To Gulick, this list made up the essence of management and identified the functions that had to be performed if organizations were to be managed effectively. For example, if the police chief, he is in a management role, and he has to perform these functions every day to perform his job. He must plan methods for becoming more efficient. He must organize the department structure, optimize staffing, direct personnel, coordinate logistics, create reports, and budget accordingly. All right, Weber's bureaucracy. Max Weber was the first to write about organizational hierarchy that exists within large-scale organizations. He said that bureaucracies could be characterized by the following, and this is straight out of the book. An established, fixed, and stable structure for dividing tasks and responsibilities, the authority to give orders related to these duties as defined within policy, the hiring of people only who are qualified to do the work that provides consistent and ongoing accomplishment of organizational tasks, a system of graded authority or hierarchy in which each level of the organization from the bottom up is supervised by the next highest level, management that is based upon written records and documents to keep track of correspondence, decisions, financial matters, and other items of importance, an office management that is based upon thorough and expert training, and lastly, a bureaucracy must be a vocation or a profession. It requires full-time attention and cannot be a part-time thing. So the term bureaucracy is defined by Weber as not a negative thing. It doesn't have a negative connotation as we know it today. He argued that bureaucracy is the most efficient way to organize, but it came with some drawbacks. First, he warned that a fully developed bureaucracy could surpass democratic controls. And second, he warned that bureaucracy could undermine individual freedoms. So, for example, the city, county, state, and federal fire departments all fall within Max Weber's requirements for a bureaucracy, which he defines as the most efficient method of an organization. All right, just a couple more. Now we're on Follett's leadership. Mary Follett was a social worker, political theorist, and organizational consultant. She has been called the woman who invented management, and she helped influence many of the theorists that exist today. She advocated a pull rather than push approach to employee motivation. She also differentiated between power over and power with. There are three primary principles to her theory. First, conflict resolution must be integrated by identifying and meeting the needs of each person within management and laborers. This is often a win-win situation. If you can accommodate both parties, you'll have a win-win. Second, genuine power is not coercive, meaning you do not want to power over people or push people to do things, but coactive, meaning you want to power with. And then lastly, true leaders, according to Follett's theory, create group power rather than expressing personal power. Now, as an example, the concepts of Mary Follett resonates in most public sector jobs today. Continuing education is often provided to leaders to promote the leadership styles crafted by her within public administration. All right, so here's our very last one, Simon's bounded rationality. Herbert Simon studied organizational decision-making. He found that the rational model rarely described human problem-solving or decision-making in real life. Simon argued that the outcomes could not be maximized because a human inability to acquire and process information. There are time limits for making most decisions, and there are only so many resources available to gather information. Also, there are some problems which we care about more than others. This encourages or discourages us from spending more energy on certain problems. Simon's bounded rationality suggests that human beings will attempt to be rational, but can only be rational within certain limits or bounds. They will tend to make satisfying decisions, in which decisions will be made based upon easy alternatives rather than maximization. There is little time devoted to gathering additional information and crafting better alternatives. The problem solving stops when the choice becomes good enough or above the minimal acceptable level. Now, as an example, in today's world, this is a model which is often used by managers on the floor who incur a steady stream of problems to solve. They do not have the necessary time to seek out better options and must make quick decisions with the information that is given. This is much like the role of a firefighter, who must quickly decide what to do with limited information at an emergency scene. Other managers within the public sector must also make quick decisions to put out their own fires. All right, so that concludes my entire PowerPoint presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the length, and everybody have a good day. I appreciate you watching.